Observability is one of the most important things in software development, and you can't deploy an application without it. I mean, technically you can, but it is like driving blindfolded, especially with medium to large applications. For personal projects, we deploy the application and hope for the best. As long as the application is running really good, the risk is very low. But with larger systems, skipping observability is not an option. Think about an airplane. Imagine you are a pilot flying with passengers and suddenly you lose access to critical information like the speed, the GPS, or the altitude. You know something is wrong, but you don't know what it is. Do you think a pilot would take off in those conditions? And the same goes for your systems. Today, the systems are as critical as the airplanes, and they are only getting more and more complex, especially with the microservices. And that's why you need the right data to keep everything running smoothly. And even if you already have observability in place, I'm sure you have been through a situation where an issue happens and you have no idea where to start looking to find the problem. And a lot of people say that more data means better understanding of your system, but the truth is visibility and understanding are not the same thing. And that's why today we're diving into everything you need to know about observability. But to really understand observability, we first need to understand how it is different from monitoring and how they work together. Here is a great quote from New Relic that sums it up perfectly. Observability is about understanding a system's performance from the data it generates. It is a practice that enables engineers to quickly analyze the system behavior and take proactive measures to boost the performance and reliability. So look at how interesting what he's saying is that from the moment I can capture the system outputs, the data it generates, and understanding these outputs, I can see what is happening inside my system. And this will let us analyze the behavior, find the problems, and improve things like the performance and reliability of the application. And that is exactly what we need when working with live system. Once you have the right tools to capture the system outputs, you can get a clear picture of what is going on and you can catch problems before they escalate as well. But here's the catch. Raw data doesn't tell a story. It's just a bunch of numbers waiting to be put into context, and with so many moving parts, it is almost impossible to figure out which data points actually matter. How do they connect to the real user experience or the health of your system as well? And that's where monitoring comes in. The key thing to understand here is that monitoring is actually part of observability. They are related but not the same. So let me explain. When we talk about monitoring, we're talking about catching something that is wrong. For example, if you are running your system and things start beeping or you get a warning on the control panel, that's monitoring. Monitoring tells you something is wrong, but you have to be really careful here because we all want to be alerted when something breaks. But here's the problem. If you monitor everything, you ended up with a never-ending cascade of notifications. Your inbox becomes a war zone. At first, every alert feels urgent. You drop everything and start digging until one day, you miss a real issue and it is a disaster. You will see that over time, most alerts turn out to be false alarms, spike or issues that fix themselves. And to avoid the situation, you need more than just monitoring. You need the ability to analyze your system's data, spot the patterns, and separate the signal from the noise. And that requires a specific skill set, a mix of the system knowledge, intuition, and the right tools. And that's where observability comes in. So the idea is monitoring tells you something is wrong, and observability helps you understand why. For example, if your system CPU usage spikes, monitoring will alert you. But observability lets you dig deeper and ask you the why. Why is the CPU spiking? What is causing the issue? That's the power of observability. It helps you find the root cause of the problem. And now, let's dive into the 3 key pillars of observability and how they can help us understand the complex systems. So starting with metrics, what exactly is a metric? So a metric is simply a number. For example, the CPU usage is at 90%, the average latency is 200 milliseconds, or I have 3 nodes in my cluster. These numbers are crucial because they give us measurable insights into the infrastructure, the application, and even business performance. So there are 2 types of metrics, the technical and the business. For example, if you run a e-commerce platform, you would track things like how many new orders were listed today, or how many visitors converted into paying customers, which product had the highest sales today. These are business metrics, and your system should generate them automatically. The rule is, if you're not measuring, you can't manage. and metrics are one of the best ways to track the performance and make smart decisions. Next, we have the logs. I used to think the logs just took up space from the disk and increased the cost, but that was when I was working with smaller applications. But nowadays, the systems are generating gigabytes of logs every single minute. And unlike metrics, the logs will tell you exactly what happened during an event, all kinds of activities within a system. For example, when you access a server, it generates access logs with details like the client's IP, the location, the address, and a lot more. And without proper logging, you are missing very critical insights. And finally, let's talk about the tracing. It is not enough to know what happened through the logs or just see the numbers using the metrics. You also need to understand the context and the order of the events. And that's where the traces comes in. The trace allows you to connect the dots. Tracing tracks the flow of a request step by step from the start to the finish. The trace will follow the programming flow and the data progression, and this is especially useful in microservices architecture, where a request might pass through multiple services, so the tracing gives you this visibility into each step, so you can pinpoint exactly where something went wrong. And just to wrap up, true observability is about combining and correlating all of this data, the logs, the metrics, and the tracing to really understand how your system actually works instead of reacting blindly to the alerts you get in your notification system. When these work together, you get a full picture of your systems. In my next videos, we will dive into the popular tools that bring these pillars to life and make observability a reality. Tools like Datadog, Prometheus, Grafana, the Elastic Stack. If you like observability and don't want to miss those videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.